speakers who didn't give the floor yesterday. And this next speaker is Mr. Mabuza from Eswatini. Please, the floor is yours.
Vice President of the IPU, Secretary General of the IPU, Excellencies, presiding officers, and honorable members of the Assembly, distinguished panelists, we are deeply honored to address this esteemed gathering of the 151st IPU Assembly. The theme, Upholding Humanitarian Norms and Supporting Humanitarian Action in Times of Crisis, compels one to observe Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, which in turn does not contain a specific chapter on humanitarian norms. Instead, it uses a transformative and universal approach that links humanitarian action to sustainable development. The agenda's core principle is leaving no one behind, which requires humanitarians and development actors to work together to address the root causes of crisis. The 2030 Agenda reinforces existing humanitarian norms through its overarching principles and specific goals. 1, leaving no one behind. This reinforces the principle of prioritizing the most vulnerable and marginalized people, including migrants, refugees, and internally displaced people. 2, universal human rights. The agenda is explicitly grounded in international human rights standards. This means that humanitarian aid and sustainable development efforts should be guided by a human rights-based approach, and success is measured by how well people are able to enjoy their rights. 3, gender equality. This reinforces humanitarian principles, requiring that assistance and protection consider the specific needs and vulnerabilities of women and girls in crisis, including protection from violence and exploitation. Our head of state, His Majesty King Mswati III, during the 78th session of the UN General Assembly, has called for collective action on both domestic and international actors to work together in crisis, for example, pandemic and natural disasters. Humanitarian norms are grounded mainly in international humanitarian law, the body of that regulates the conduct of hostilities, and to an extent in international human rights law as it continues to apply in times of armed conflict. These norms include protecting civilians from attack, ensuring the protection of those not fighting, and facilitating humanitarian aid. This year marks 80th anniversary of nuclear detonation in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Since then, more than 2,000 nuclear detonations have taken place around the world. These detonations have demonstrated the human and environmental destruction. Today, the risk of using nuclear weapons is higher than ever before. The prohibition and elimination of nuclear weapons is humanitarian imperative. A nuclear conflict would have catastrophic effects on human health, the environment, the climate, food production, and socio-economic development. Eswatini has piloted the Nuclear Radiation and Safety Bill. The International Committee of the Red Cross is the only institution explicitly named under international humanitarian law as a controlling authority. The legal mandate of the Red Cross stems from the stems from the 4 Geneva Conventions of 1949, as well as from its own statutes. Its relevance, even today, remains exclusively to further its humanitarian mission of protecting the lives and dignity of victims of war and international violence, and to provide them with assistance. Humanitarian action in times of crisis involves providing timely, needs-based assistance to save lives and alleviate suffering through a range of activities such as delivering food, water, shelter, and medical care. This assistance is a short-term emergency response to disasters, conflicts, and health crises, and its goal is to help affected people maintain their dignity and return to a normal life. In the Kingdom of Eswatini, we have a collaborative stakeholder approach to address humanitarian action in times of crisis. The country has a unit called the National Disaster Management Unit. The key responsibilities of the unit is to offer assistance on saving lives and alleviate suffering through a range of activities such as delivering food, water, shelter, and medical care in situations of disaster. Eswatini's refugee regime encourages asylum seekers and refugees to integrate into society, and they peacefully live alongside the host community. Asylum seekers and refugees are allowed to work. In conclusion, this 151st Assembly is enjoined to hit to the following key attributes: save lives, to provide immediate support to prevent loss of life and suffering, alleviate suffering. Aid is focused on reducing the impact of crisis on affected populations, maintain human dignity to ensure the basic needs and dignity of those affected are protected. Assistance is provided based on need alone, regardless of ethnic origin, gender, or ideology. For this journey to be successful, collective efforts at every level, local, national, and global, are essential core principles and objectives. I thank you. May the Almighty God bless us all.
Thank you. The next